Now, let's move along to this story from Melbourne. Academics from Monash University, Laura Alfrey and Ruth Jeans, they're calling for words like sportsmanship or sporting terms such as man-on to be scrapped for being discriminatory. In an article co-written by the pair, they claim to have developed strategies for inclusive physical education. And the Herald Sun reports the academics say they have inclusive physical education that's comes from an intersectional perspective. When I see the word intersectional, I stop paying attention, I've got to say. But they're saying we should be more inclusive, Caroline, of sexuality, race, class and culture when it comes to language. Are you personally triggered when you hear a term like sportsmanship?
No, Rita, I'm not, and that's because I'm a pretty, normal functioning human being, and you can look past things like that. It's just a word, and if you're triggered by something like that, then I think you've probably got bigger issues. These two academics are education experts, and with the plummeting education standards in this country, it's easy to see why. I actually think it's incredibly sad that they focus on these sorts of things. It's this typical, very, like you said, intersectional, this radical feminist intifada against language, against all things the West, and God forbid there's a white male involved. It's got nothing to do with substance. It has no bearing in substance. It is meant to be highly provocative. It is meant to make people feel guilty, but ultimately it's totally magniloquent, and it's got nothing in it which the average person looks at and goes, oh yeah, that's fair enough.
Parnell, the academics argue that this has an impact on children, or at least some children, leaves them feeling excluded and discriminated against. Is that some reason enough to reconsider some of these terms that we've just used and have used for forever?
Look, if it were to really cause a child to feel excluded, then we would, of course, consider it. But the truth is, this is not about academics trying to make children feel included. This is about academics trying to make themselves important. There was a great case in the US recently where all of the woke people are using Latinx instead of Latina and Latino because, of course, Spanish is a gendered language. And apparently only a tiny, tiny, tiny minority of this supposed, of this quite large minority of Latinas and Latinos in the US feels that they would like to be called Latinx. In fact, there's a deep disrespect against their language by mangling it in this way. So people actually feel more included when you make the language include them, or teach them that they are included in the language, rather than start mangling the language in order to include nobody and, possibly everybody, certainly the academics.
Yeah, Latinx or Latinx, I don't even know how you're supposed to pronounce it, it's just one of the most spectacular own goals of the woke movement, because you're so right. All the research shows that the overwhelming majority of the Latino community absolutely loathe the term, and they do not like to be referred by that term at all.